Kilowatt 4, Hotel Echo Whiskey.
Kilowatt 4, what was the rest?
Hotel Echo Whiskey.
Roger, and what's the name there, sir?
Here's Joe, Juliet, Oscar Echo. Echo, and we've spoken in the past.
Roger, Joe, I'm copying you on the Milford, PA, Roger.
Roger. I have the ICOM 7300, and I've been told it sounded a little too bassy. So I turned my bass down to a +2 and the treble up to 0 with a compression of 3. And I'm watching.
Station standby. I'm in Qso at the moment.
Right at 50, right about mid-scale. How does that sound to you, Jim?
I think you were right. It probably does sound a little on the muffly side. I would back the bass down one more click. I would roll off the bass one more click in EQ and add one click at top end EQ and see what we got there. Roger?
Roger. Okay, I've done that, and bass now is at a +1, and treble is at a +1. And how does that sound?
Oh, yeah. You got it going there, buddy. I would tell you, if you get it, are you on the 7300 with the stock end mic?
End mic? Yes, it is, and I'm going to put a windsock over it, but for now it's completely stock.
Roger, yeah, I would recommend definitely a windscreen, and I think one is almost foolish to replace such a beautiful microphone, although, condenser desk mic might be more convenient, but just the basic operation of that supplied stock hand mic is just such a beautiful compliment to that radio. I just fall in love with that signal. Roger?
Roger. Yeah, it's hard to beat. I've been told I'm running power, and I've been told where are you located, and everything is stock, 100 watts, no amp, and I'm actually in a motorhome with a vertical antenna, 40-meter Eagle 1 antenna mounted on the rear ladder. So that's all I got.
Roger, beautiful job. Now, you might be hitting your ALC just a little hard, but I'm not going to say anything because the audio is not distorted, and it is nice. You're running about 2.5 dB dynamic range, Roger.
Roger? Oh, that's what I was going to ask. You're in my head there. Yeah, I don't want to overdrive it, but 2.5 is just about where I want to be.
Yeah, it's just loud. Couldn't improve on that. Just out of curiosity, I'm assuming that you are running your compressor at about a 3 out of 10?
Out of 10? That's exactly where it is.
Roger. Yes, the magic point there. That radio is just beautiful. Roger.
Roger. And my mic gain is at 85%, and I want to know what effect mic gain has on the whole process. Can you explain that to me?
Yes, sir. The mic gain is the beginning of the audio chain. Most folks on the 7300 are probably running around 50%. But on the other hand, it's what you can get away with, and it's up to your AOC. I mean, theoretically, we're just talking theory here, that your ALC reading is a deciding factor about what your modulation level will be. And what you're looking for there is between mid-scale to 2/3 on your ALC. Now, you can push that a little bit with that 7300 because it has such a beautiful ALC, and you can move just a little bit beyond the 75% deflection, but you definitely want to stay out of the red. You don't want to be driving that ALC into the red. Roger?
Roger. Okay, I understand. Yeah, it's hovering right at 50 mid-scale, and I've never seen it go much beyond that. Setting the mic gain has little effect on that, apparently. It's like it says, oh, no, you don't. I'm not going to let you do that.
Roger. Well, the 7300 has just an outstanding limiter. I call it a hard wall limiter, that it just doesn't want to let that signal go past mid-scale to 2/3. And it really, where it's set, as far as at the point of operation for the limiter is just perfect. And the AOC is looking at the output of the audio that is following the limiter. So you have in the sequence of events, you have the mic gain, and then you have the compression, and then you have some processing, EQ-wise and all that stuff, and then you get to the automatic limiter, which is just in front of the AOC meter monitor that's looking at the output of the limiter. So that's essentially it. And what's happening when you turn up your mic gain, then you're making the compressor work a little bit, and you're also at the same time making that output limiter work a little bit hard. Now the difference between the compressor and the limiter is the attack and release times. A compressor has a much slower attack and release time. So by the fact that you're not really stressing it to work absolutely nanosecond timing, it can afford to compress 20 dB and still not distort, because it's not attacking the input very quickly, and it's not releasing the output very quickly. So a 20 dB range and a compressor is a totally doable thing. But when you get to a limiter is a very quick attack time and very quick release time. So because it's so quick, you don't want to push that limiter more than 3 or 4 dB. That's about the maximum range of a limiter that has instantaneous attack and release time, Roger.
A limiter that has instantaneous attack and release time, Roger.
Okay, Roger, that's a good explanation. I'd like to try something, and I'll let somebody else have a chance here. I'm at 50% mic gain right now, and I'm going to increase that when I unkey, and then I'll come back again. I'd like to hear if it sounds different, and I don't think this radio is going to let it sound any different, but I want to see what it does, okay?
Joe, I was already copying the mail even before you turned it down, and I can tell you there is no difference in the peaks between where you were and after you pulled it down. The peaks were the same, but the average peak was less when you pulled it down. So after you pulled it down, your average peak modulation went to probably about 5 or 6 dB, and before you did that, where you were with a mic gain of about 80, your average peak modulation was up to about 85%. So it definitely makes a big difference in the fattening, Roger.
So it definitely makes a big difference in the fattening, Roger.
Okay, that makes sense. Right now it's at 95% mic gain. I guess what I'm looking for is an optimal setting for doing DX. Obviously that would be more top end and less bottom end, I believe. Isn't that right?
Roger, I think you're there. I think you're there. I think your signal, audio-wise, could go either direction. And I think when you were running 80 on your mic gain, I thought that was the ideal place. Were you not there just before you turned down recently?
The ideal place. Were you not there just before you turned down recently?
I was at 85 when I originally called you. I dropped it to 50%, and then I increased it to 95. Right now I'm back to 80%. You probably don't see a difference there, I'm guessing. Roger?
Well, I can see your dynamic range moving. Like I say, that limiter on that radio is a Stonewall limiter, so it's keeping the peak at the same place. Just as you drive harder, your average peak modulation comes up. So where you were at about 80 looked to be about 3 dB, 2.5, 3 dB dynamic range, and I think that's fat. Very fat for all kinds of applications. I don't think you necessarily have to have a DX or contest situation. You just need a fat audio signal that's very well articulated on the top end, and that means that even though you might be in the noise level or you might be in the pileup, they're going to hear your audio and understand what you're saying, which is very important when they say go ahead blank blank blank.
Very important when say, go ahead, like.
Okay, that's what I needed. I think I'll get the super glue out and put a drop on each button here and leave things kind of where they're at. Jim, I sure appreciate your help this evening. K4HEW back to, we'll be clearing your final KC9 Victor, Kilo Victor. This is K4HEW.
Roger, Roger, and that's Joe.
Roger, and that's Joe.
QSL, roger that.
Roger, Joe. Good talking at you, sir. Enjoyed it. And you have a good Friday afternoon and a good weekend coming up. And if you get a chance, drop back by next Friday and we'll compare notes. We do it between 3:30 till 5 Eastern Daylight Time Friday afternoons. And we have been recording this. And so if you want to check out your audio, I have used a couple of SDRs. I think the last one was the Alexandria, Virginia SDR, and I was also using the Milford, PA SDR. I didn't have a very good copy on my local receiver, so these are SDRs that I have coming in. So anyway, we'll be posting this up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that'll take you to the Qso-Vlog page. And on that page, you'll be looking for a Qso entitled My Group Air Check 5/10/19. My Group Air Check 5/10/19, today's date. And it should be on page 1. So Joe, we'll say threes to you. You have a good afternoon, Roger.
Joe, we'll say threes to you. You have a good afternoon, Roger.
Roger, Jim. Thanks so much. I appreciate your help. And KC9VKV, this is K4HEW. Thanks much. 7-3.
Roger, Roger. And I just noticed that SDR had a slight glitch in it from time to time, so that's not your doing. That's the SDR. So threes to you, Joe, and we'll catch you later. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and this is the Qso-Vlog network. If you've got a radio you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. This is KC9VKV.